Hi, my name is Molly Mahoney, and I would like to welcome you to the first official episode of the Prepared Performer podcast. Hey guys, this is Molly Mahoney from The Prepared Performer. Our guest today is Anthony Boyer of DDO Stage 9, and he has such an awesome heart and so much great information to share. I'm going to get right to that after I give you a little more information about the podcast. So you'll notice on the video that we're in a totally different place. Right now, this is my vocal studio where I teach. I have my piano here. My students come in through this door right here. It's super awesome. It's inside my house, but it has its own separate entrance. However, just about a month ago, I was teaching in the middle of my living room. We moved things around. So you'll see that I'm in my living room. I live in a Eichler, which is pretty cool. There's like lots of windows and craziness. So you're going to notice as these podcasts start coming out that the production value is going to be changing a little bit. The setting will change a little bit, but the content is still going to be totally awesome. So here's Anthony, and I hope you are able to attack your goals with creativity, clarity, confidence, and joy to be your best on and off the stage. Here we go. I can't always do that. Bye. Hi, everybody. My name is Molly Mahoney with The Prepared Performer, and I am so excited about our guest today. He is an agent with Stage 9/DDO, DDO/Stage 9. I like to mix those two up. You can tell me exactly how I should be saying it. He's also been a music director and a performer. He has loads of credits all over the world, and he is now a seriously kick booty agent with clients working all over the place, and he's so awesome and giving of his time, and he's meeting with us here today for free, which is amazing. And I'm now going to show you and introduce you to Anthony Boyer. Say
hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Anthony Boyer. You can say Stage 9 DDO. It's Stage 9/DDO.
It is? Okay. I always feel like, I don't know. Okay, cool.
It's awkward. It changes. And then by the end, eventually it'll just be DDO.
But it's also good that it forces us to talk about it.
That's now, right.
You know what I mean?
This is the clumsiest form of branding.
I like it. I sent out an email recently and forgot to put the date of the event in the email, and I've never had more responses from an email.
Right, that's true. That's true. Did people show?
It hasn't happened yet. It's the next vocal jam on Tuesday, but people are like, "Hey, when is it? When is it?" So now they know.
Who's the guest?
It is Amber Sky Skips. Do you know her?
Amber. Yep.
So she's gonna sing a face off. I like it. All right, so Anthony is going to tell us about the business of acting, which is crazy, and we're going to divide this up probably into a few different videos. So here's the first one. Here we go. Jump right in.
Basically when I talk about this, there are three basic things that we talk about with the business of acting. One is finding jobs. One is booking the jobs you found. And then the third thing is what to do once you've booked that job. That's a pretty easy sort of sequence, right? So when we talk about finding jobs, what we're talking about is, and we're dealing mostly with theater here. So what we're talking about is finding upcoming auditions. So how do I find shows that are right for me? How do I find roles that are right for me? And there are a lot of resources. You can use Actors Equity. Their website has a page called Casting Call. And on there, you can check for EPAs, which are equity principal auditions, or ECCs, which are equity chorus calls. Now, what those are is any equity theater in the country has to have EPAs.
And let's just make sure we know everybody. I know most people will know this, but the Actors Equity Association is the union for actors.
So, for stage actors, yeah.
Stage actors. Good job. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody can go to these auditions. You just might have to wait until a little bit later. So even if you're non-union, this is a great way to go.
That's right. And then also if you're EMC, which is the Equity Membership Candidate Program. So this is for everybody. EPA or equity members can go there and sign up and they'll get seen. And then at the end, if you've been waiting all day, hopefully if you're non-union, you can get it. In Los Angeles, you have a pretty good chance of getting in. But these are auditions that equity theaters host when they're looking for actors for their shows, for their seasons. And you can go on Actors Equity's website to an area called Casting Call. And there are three regions, Eastern, Central, and Western. Click on your region and you can see a list of everything that's coming up, every EPA, every ECC that's coming up. And basically what the shows are, what the roles are. They usually have character breakdowns, so you can kind of just scan what's coming up and get a sense of like, what do I want to go in for? What am I right for? So that's one resource. The next is we have got other sites like Backstage and Playbill that constantly sort of post, and Actors Access, which post theater breakdowns often. So you can, submit yourself. You can go whatever their policy is that they've listed. If it's just an open call or whatever it is, you can go to that. And then this is the Anthony Boyer special.
Okay.
This is exclusive. Are you guys ready? One thing I like to tell my people to do is to make a spreadsheet. You can do it in Google Docs. You can do it in Excel, whatever works for you. Make a spreadsheet. Choose like a geographic area. If you're in Los Angeles, as I am, you can choose sort of the equity houses in Los Angeles, or you can choose all the theaters in Los Angeles, or California, or West Coast, or whatever you want to do. Anywhere where you can. It's best if you can be a local hire there. What that means is that they don't have to house you. They don't have to fly you there. So you have someone who lives there.
With that, what do you think? I was just talking to another friend recently who is pitching himself as a local hire in Atlanta, but he doesn't actually live there. He just has housing there.
Yeah.
Is that weird? Housing there?
Housing.
How do you feel about that? Like also knowing places where you potentially could be a local hire, if you can afford to fly yourself out there and have housing.
That's the key. If you can house yourself and you can get yourself there, then it's fine. Then you can be a local hire there. The theater, quite honestly, doesn't care.
Right.
You're
saving them money. That's
exactly. At the end of the day, as long as they can treat you like someone that they hired in Atlanta, then you're an Atlanta local hire. Mm-hmm. So find those theaters. Go to their websites. Every theater has a website now. It's amazing. It's 2015, and the world is remarkable. And go to their website and look at any shows that have been announced, either for the current season or the following season. So, if they've announced a 4-show season this year and 2 shows next year, whatever it is, go and look at those roles and put them in the spreadsheet. And sort of block out like when are these going to be, and while you're on their website, look at what their submission process is. Do they have an open call? Is there someone you're supposed to email your headshot resume to? Like all of that, figure out, how do I submit to these people? And then once you've got your list, your spreadsheet, kind of just look at what roles are right for me in these shows. Like start to investigate those particular shows. Are there roles that are right for me? What's the style of the show? Who's the composer? Who's directing it if they've announced it? All of that sort of stuff. And then you can kind of start to plan out like where you want to audition, where and how and what to prepare for those auditions, which we'll talk about in the next section. But so once you build that spreadsheet, you have a pretty comprehensive idea of what the next year and a half, 2 years looks like as far as shows you can do that are shows that are available to you.
This is like my favorite idea ever because I'm obsessed with spreadsheets and keeping track of things. And then that way you can be so prepared. And a lot of times you'll notice, I don't know if it's just like the cosmos or if it's people actually, there's something real happening. But a lot of times I feel like you'll notice there's more shows that are in a certain genre and then you'll be able to focus more on that type of material.
Yeah. It seems to go in cycles where everybody 1 year will be taking risks. And then the next year, everyone will be just falling back on Rodgers and Hammerstein. And then the next year, they'll be doing, Shrek and Rent. Like it seems to go. And you'll see, too, as you put this spreadsheet together, you will start to see a lot of the same shows pop up, which is cool. Like this year, Cabrillo did Mary Poppins, and then La Mirada did Mary Poppins right after that.
Right, and there's also loads of children's theater places that are doing Mary Poppins right now too. Like 3 places that are doing it. It's crazy.
So if you're the kind of person who could play, for instance, Roberts and I in Mary Poppins, then this would have been a great season for you. And if you'd been able to look ahead and see ahead of time, like, oh my gosh, here's a role is great for me. It's physical comedy. It's, then you can kind of just start to plan out like, this is going to be my year of Roberts and I's.
Totally. It's awesome. I love it. Good one. That was your most special from Anthony Boyer, my favorite.
Exclusive. And now let's talk about booking the jobs.
Okay.
This is what everyone wants to know, I think. This is the money. This is the money maker. So there are 4 basic things you need to book a job. 3 basic things you need to book a job. That's your book, your headshot, and your resume. I'm going to talk about the book first because I can go on for days just about the book. So what the book is when you go in and sing a song, right? That song is in hopefully your book, and your book is usually literally like a 3-ring binder with sheet music in it, clearly marked in the correct key, in usually sheet protectors or something, so that an accompanist can just lay it out and read it and play it and be your best friend. That's
totally be your best friend. That's key.
And as someone who was a music director and an audition accompanist and sat in a lot of those rooms, trust me, everyone wants the accompanist to be your best friend. Not just you, we do too. Yeah. Everyone wants it. So, we generally have a book can be any size, but it's all of the songs and are prepared to audition with today. If you don't know it, if you're like, oh gosh, I hope they don't ask me to sing that, take it out. Take it out.
Even if you have to take it out and leave it in the car right then, like, you're like, oh, today this is not happening. Take it out.
Yeah. And the reason for that is what you want to happen at the end of singing, is you want them to want to hear more, right? So they may ask, well, what else do you have in your book? You have to be able to answer that question. And they may just go through your book. Some accompanists will just grab it. They know what they're looking for in the room. So they'll just go through your book. They'll be like, all right, we're singing this. And if you don't know it very well, that could be a problem.
I loved what you said when you did the class for us about making sure that you know what is in your book. Like that if you say to somebody, hey, I'd like to hear I keep using your example, I want to hear a song that sounds like Christmas.
Yeah.
Or they say, I want to hear a high soprano song. And you're like, well, I think I might have this in there. If you don't really know what's in there that you said, then I move on. You don't know what's in there. You're not prepared. You're not taking this seriously. So I've actually started having all of my clients and students have a spreadsheet about their book too.
Awesome.
Which I'm going to share as a tool. And it's like, I do the type of song that it is, the range that it's in, the composer, the show. And then I did, because of you, I did the feeling of it, like the energy of it. If it makes me feel like Christmas or if it's determined or whatever.
And to explain to people, do you have something that sounds like Christmas was an actual request by a director when I was in an audition room with him. And I was like, oh, but you never know what they're going to ask for. And I say too, have a table of contents also. Sometimes that makes it easier if they can just look at one page. Then also get together every week. And we'll talk about how to build the book, but get together with a friend, every week or every couple of weeks, every month, whatever, and just quiz each other back and forth. Just try to stump each other. What do you have in your book that tells a story? What do you have in your book that shows off your soprano? What do you have in the book that sounds like the 50s? What do you have in your book that's traditional musical theater? What do you have in your book that sounds like Christmas? Whatever it is, try to stump each other. And the reason for that is you don't need to, if I say, what do you have in your book that shows off your top range? You don't need to answer like that. But if you just sit there and, that is like a death. That's death. You've become very passive in the audition room, and we're checking out mentally. So just know your material inside and out. I mean, we're talking about 10 songs.
Right. I love it.
Yeah. So how do we find these 10 to 12 to 15 to 37 to 803 songs that are going to be in our book that we can audition with tomorrow? Here's one thing I recommend, and that's make a list of current national tours and Broadway shows. If you go to BroadwayWorld.com, there is a list, and I can send you the link if you want to put it with this.
Okay, yeah, awesome.
So you can go to that, and there's a list of shows that are currently on Broadway, currently in national tours. And you can just start to read breakdowns as you can find them. A good place is actually the EPA site, the casting call site that we talked about, to find roles. If you can find scripts, read them. If you can find videos, watch them. Get a sense of who these characters are, what they're looking for. Figure out which roles are right for you. And then start to look at, who originated those roles. But I think even more importantly, who's playing them now. And you can go to, for instance, say you think that you can be Mrs. Wormwood in Matilda. Go to Matilda's website. Look at the cast. It's going to be listed on there. See who's playing it on Broadway, who's playing it in the national tour. Because sometimes it's better to know who's playing it currently, because sometimes they change directions on what they're doing with the role. Especially for actors of color, because we're getting a lot more diverse in our casting as we go. So, if you're looking at a show and everyone's white and you just sort of write it off, that might not be the best move for you. we may have changed since we've gotten better.
Right.
So, start to look at those people, the actors who have played those characters or who are currently playing those characters, and look at what else they've done. You can go to ibdb.com, for instance. You can read their
Broadway database.
That's right. You can go there. You can even just read the bios they have on the website. When we're talking about like, okay, who's playing this role, they're going to have a bio and it's going to list some of their credits. Get a sense, sometimes it's a little misleading because it's like, well, they played that, but they played it 20 years ago or whatever. But most of the bios, their credits are pretty current unless they're really a big deal.
You know what else I hadn't really thought about, but what else has breakdowns a lot of times is MTI, or the different places that have the rights for the show. So if you go to mtishows.com, they have a great breakdown and sometimes audition material. So you can even get a look at, if you don't have the access to the full script, you can get the sides or like a little audition.
Awesome. And I think that's mtishows.com, right? Yeah. Or if you can get a hold of the book, that book is a treasure trove. Tams Whitmark, same thing. Like all of the licensing companies have something like that. So start to look at those roles, start to figure out who's playing them, what else they've done. Preferably, even the best is like the show they did right before it and the show they did right after it. And then start to just sort of figure out like, who are the composers of those shows? Who are the lyricists who directed those shows? Like, all you're doing right now is you're gathering information, right? So that you can sort of come up with a giant list of songs. Like if you think I'm perfect for whatever, part X, and you find out that the actress who originated the role right before that played Fiona in Shrek, I want you to list all of the Fiona material, right? Now, these are all possible audition songs. So then now you've got it, try to find the songs, try to either just watch them online, listen to them, you can get the sheet music, whatever it is, and just start to familiarize yourself with that material. Ask yourself, go ahead.
Idea, actually, do you know Andrew Byrne? Do you know who?
Yeah.
Andrew Byrne? Okay, so he's my voice coach and I'm obsessed, like I love him so much. And he has this really awesome thing, which I haven't shared too publicly yet, but it's on his website and I'll share it. But he put together a list. It's a bunch of different rep lists, but my favorite one is the cure for like overdone. That's what it is. The cure for overdone material. It's a picture of toast, like a burnt toast on it, which is funny. It's overdone, but it's like On My Own, and then it has all the songs that you could do instead of On My Own.
Interesting.
Similar to it. It's really, really cool.
That is cool, and that's great. And I'm actually going to talk about that a little later on overdone songs.
Okay.
But that's great too. I mean, and all we're looking for here is to create options, right? And once we've got the most options possible, we're going to investigate those songs, and we're going to say, do I connect with this song? Can I sing this song? Can I sell this song? Do I get it? And the most important question for me when choosing an audition song, is this a story I need to tell? Like for instance, you're going to go through periods of your life. If you're going through a really bad breakup, singing a song about new love might not be the best move for you, or it might be. You might bring something all new to it. So who knows? But is this a story with which I can connect? Because here's the thing: audition songs in musical theater are acting pieces, just flat out, like they just are. So just know that too. Like the text is as important as the music. Just because it shows off your high C might not be the best reason to choose it. Right. And then other resources for like more contemporary stuff. And I'm going to send some of these links to you, Molly. You can just familiarize yourself with contemporary songwriters. Here in Los Angeles, we have a program at Rockwell called A Little New Music. That's a great place to go to listen to new music. There's newmusicaltheater.com has great resources. You can YouTube, like for instance, if you figure out like, oh my gosh, I am a perfect Krista Rodriguez type, go onto YouTube and see what Krista Rodriguez has sung, that you've never heard. There's also a thing called Playbill Picks Contemporary Musical Theater Writers.
Hey, what is that?
I'll send that to you.
Cool.
It's just a list of that Playbill put together of contemporary musical theater writers. Cool. Then there's a thing literally just called the Directory of Contemporary Musical Theater Writers, which is kind of on the nose. And here's an idea, you guys.
Ooh, let's
see theater. Go see some theater.
What? That's crazy.
I'm amazed by how many performers don't really see very much theater. And if you want to know what's happening and what's current and find new music and know your contemporaries, go see some theater. It's kind of awesome.
You guys, Anthony also gets the award for, I swear, seeing more shows than any other human ever in the whole entire world. Next to maybe, like, I know Gail sees a good friend of mine, and she's always, in New York it's easier, but here we're driving to like every ounce of the world out there that's drivable to see shows.
It's either me or Stephen Stanley. I'm not sure, but it's the two of us. But you're right. Yeah, like Gail C. and like everyone in New York sees shows.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's slightly easier in New York to do it than it is.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, we can do it here. I'm testament to that, and hold down a full-time job.
Right? Exactly. I'm going to be calling you to babysit next time I want to go to a show.
So when you do see theater, here's the thing I want you to do. I want you to save the playbills. I could show you my giant stack here that's waiting to be inputted. Save the playbills, take them home, and here, spreadsheet time. Yay! We should have a like an icon, like something comes up on screen, like spreadsheet time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know if we're any good at it.
I totally can.
So this is another spreadsheet. I call it the attended show log. Luckily, I have interns to put all mine in, but you have to do it yourself. So what you're going to put in is you're going to put in what you saw, where it was, who was in it, who directed it, or what they played, who directed it, choreographed it, the writers, the music director, the producers, and also, and this is important, write down what you liked and what you didn't like. And that's very, very important because you want to start to develop critical thought on theater itself. And so that can be performances, it can be the storyline, it can be the direction, whatever it is.
Lighting, like who knows?
Exactly.
You know?
Whatever it is to you, just start to write down, because then you're going to start to get an idea too of what you would do differently or who you want to work with or all of that. Like, it's just good to start building those skills now.
And it also helps you if you're going to an event and you are around people who work in the business, then it's easier for you to be like, oh yeah, I saw that show and I really loved this, because before you go out to an event where you're going to be around a lot of people that you work with or that you want to work with, you can glance through your list really quick if you know that they were working on something. You can run into the bathroom if it's on Google Docs and look on your
That's my move. That's the move. You run into the bathroom, you pull up your Google Doc, and then you come out and you're like, oh my gosh, I just saw you in 42nd Street. Like I was trying to place you. Yeah. Google Docs will make a genius out of you.
Me too. I love it.
So
doing that for auditions too. I don't know if you're going to talk about that, but I am like really big. It's one of the first things on my website about
Audition Diary.
Yeah, keeping track of all your auditions.
Oh, we'll get to. We definitely have that on the list.
Okay, perfect.
I like that we both. Yeah. So in seeing theater, that's another place where we're going to develop repertoire. We're going to develop a list of things we can sing in auditions. Like if you hear a song in a show where you're like, God, I've never heard that before. Look it up. Just find it out. Find out if it's right for you. I personally say, and I was saying I would bring this up later. I personally say don't worry about what's popular and what isn't. Like what's overdone, just because I feel like it's kind of a losing game. I think if we try to stick with trends, it tends to shoot us in the foot. And anyway, you shouldn't be doing any song that you can't bring something unique and amazing to anyway. So I do think that there is something to like, don't do On My Own, don't do, Tomorrow from Annie was the old joke when I was music directing. I don't know if it still is, but like those songs, sure, you should probably move on from them. But if you can do On My Own with 5 other girls and you can stand out and kill it,
totally. It's
not the worst thing in the world. So for personally, I say don't worry too much about what's popular and what isn't, but that's me. The one important thing is when building your book, when doing all of the things we're going to talk about, is take your time. Take your time. Don't feel like you got to sit down in an hour and build a book. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to take time. And as performers, you spend a lot of time learning how to sing, how to act, how to dance. What no one makes you do, and so you don't do it, is set aside time for the business side of it. Even an hour a week. Put it aside and say, this is my actor time this week. This is when I'm focusing on my acting career. And this is the time where you can build a book or review your resume or whatever it is. Or, hey, singers, take a dance class. Take a dance class in your hour.
Secrets from Anthony Boyer.
I know, it's terrifying.
It's true,
Dancing.
though.
I can't do it, but I also don't want to be a Broadway performer. Take a dance class. So that's I think it's important to make sure that you set time for yourself, and all of your friends and all of your relatives have to just understand, like from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Wednesdays, I'm doing this, or I think 1 hour a week is the bare minimum. You should do it more, but
I also loved when you were mentioning having a friend quiz you on your book. Like,
yeah.
Together when I was in New York, I don't know if I've told you this, but I had a group with Andy Kelso, who's playing whatever his face is on in Kinky Boots. Oh my gosh, Charlie. Hello,
Charlie Price.
Yeah, and a few other people. We would get together once a week, and we had a group called 5 Things, and we were all in an acting class together, and we just kind of decided we wanted to do it. And this 5 things, we'd all set 5 goals for ourselves, and we'd leave for the week, and we'd come back and we'd check in about our 5 things.
I really love this.
Awesome. Like, to have accountability. It was like our own little mastermind group before I knew what a mastermind group was.
Yeah.
We'd have accountability, and we'd also get feedback from each other. We were friends, but also fellow actors, and some people were working on directing things and stuff like that. And it was so awesome.
I love that. And and to me, I think involving other people in it, in your career, like having that accountability is awesome. Anytime you can do that, it's great. One thing I didn't really mention before, also when we're building our book, when we're starting to put songs in, we're learning the songs, is know your cuts and have them marked. And the reason I say that is because you might say, well, I'm only singing a full version of this song. I'm not doing 16 bars. But you do have to have a 16-bar cut, because what'll happen is if you sing one thing and I ask for another thing and that's your other thing, I may only want 16 bars. Yeah. So know your cuts.
I have that on a spreadsheet, actually, that I did based on what we were talking about with that. And it says, like, which cut you have and do you know the full song? Because a lot of times they might say, like, hey, can you sing the whole song? And you're like, no.
Yeah, and I'll say, too, especially when I was music directing, that would happen a lot, where someone would come in and do 16 bars, and I'm like, it's the wrong cut. I'm like, no, not those 16 bars. I want,
And then would you ask for it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Every time.
You're like, no, I actually can't sing that note. That's why I'm singing this one.
And that's a reasonable, and that's a reasonable thing to say. Like, be honest, because Michael Donovan, a casting director here in Los Angeles, is very fond of saying, don't show us what you can't do.
Right.
So yeah, if you say, you know what, I only plan on 16 because this is a really good 16 for me, I can't sing that note, just be honest, because we're going to hear that you can't sing that note. Yeah. Also remember too, when we're working on the music, we want to spend, I say, 4 times as much, at least 4 times as long on the text is on the music. As I said earlier, every song in musical theater is an acting piece. So treat it like you would a monologue. Treat it, spend the time, find the levels, find the turns, find your tactics, like do all of that as if you were preparing a monologue. It's the same, but it's on pitch.
And if you don't know how to do that, I have a really awesome free ebook called 6 Steps to Acting with Less Effort that helps you figure out who you're singing to, how it applies to your own life, and all the beats and tactics. If you don't know what beats and tactics are, email me and I'll put the link in there. But it's like 6 pages and it explains all that stuff. But for people who don't know what it is, but it's super important. And so many students that I have, Anthony, who have been coming to me forever, and then they'll come in and I'm like, okay, so who are you singing to? Have you done the beat work on it? No. Like, okay, so let's do it. And then we spend their voice lesson doing that. And I'm like, see how much better this would have been if you had done this homework on your own.
Yeah. And that's not what you want to be doing during your voice lesson at all. Like, you want to be focusing on the song. Like let's speaking of voice lessons, let's talk about, you don't want to be learning music in your voice lesson either.
JD, my husband always says there's a difference between practice and rehearsal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a musician thing. That's an instrumentalist thing.
But vocalists should be doing that too.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that phrase is thrown at us daily. So yeah, sorry.
Okay. I actually, there was one other thing I wanted to add on. No. while you're doing that,
Yeah.
I will add, Anthony also gave some great advice, which is totally true, about your 16 bar cut should also have the same arc that a full song would have. Like, you want to try and you don't want to be just one level through the whole song. You want to really, I always like to tell my students, not everybody agrees with this, but I like to say that you're singing to someone who disagrees with you. I got that from this coach in New York, John Rocco, because then you're really working through something. And if you're singing to someone who already agrees with you, then you're like, what am I singing this for?
Oh, that's nice.
But sometimes that really helps people to like actually work through something. But if you're not doing that, at least create some sort of arc so you're not showing the same level the whole time.
Yeah. And I say one of my favorite things to say is when you're in doubt on choice, choose love. It's just such a strong choice for you to love the person to whom you're singing rather than to hate them, because hating is very dismissive and very one note. But if you love them, especially if you're disagreeing with them, it brings a lot to it. So.
Because then you really do want to get them on your side. You don't want or you want to transform them somehow. You don't want to be like, I disagree with you and I hate you, so I'm going to stop singing to you.
Right. Like, I don't care if you're wrong.
Cool.
So I'm going to move on to the headshot.
I like it.
Unless I think we covered a book. That's
Oh, and actually also more about marking your music clearly and stuff like that. I also have a couple of posts, which I'll put links also about marking your music. There's a really great book. I can't remember what it's called, but it's written by an accompanist about how to not make your accompanist mad. How to get your best friend.
I like it.
For that too.
Sweet. Be nice to your accompanist, you guys, even if they're bad.
Because they've been there all day, and it's like their job is so hard.
So hard. And if they're bad, they know they're bad, and they're sorry.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Right. Not all the time, but yes. Okay, so the headshot. Let's talk about headshots. There's not a ton to say. I mean, there's a ton to say about headshots, but there's not a ton I say about headshots. First of all, your headshot should be current. It should be in color.
Woohoo!
It's 2015, you guys.
Actually, I was just looking at someone, I can't remember, Brandy. She was at one of the vocal jams. I can't remember her last name right now. Brandy.
Okay.
Oh, that's a different friend named Brandy. I can't remember her last name, but she is doing Musical Theater West's Singing in the Rain coming up, and there's a poster that they put together of all the people who are in it, and everybody has these beautiful color headshots. So if you randomly had a black and white headshot on that poster, you'd look like a weirdo.
Yeah, and you will in a submission too. Like it's going to, and and I get all these people. I don't know what the deal is. It's not my job to staple your resume to your headshot. It's not my job to cut your resume down. Wait,
what?
All the time. Every audition I go to, there's at least one, and usually more people who come in with just like clearly they just Xeroxed the headshot like they were running low, or they just printed it on their printer, and that's okay. But at least staple the resume to the back of the headshot. And
I like to do all four corners, because if you staple it in the middle, then those side flaps get sloppy.
Yes. Yeah. With my clients, I'm very particular about it. I actually
like it. I don't know. Tell me.
I like 4 staples parallel to the top and bottom of the picture, an inch or less from the edge, with the flat part of the staple actually facing the resume side. That's what I like.
Okay, cool.
And the reason,
for the most part, that's like how I would think about it. The flat part of the staple is interesting technique too, though. I like that.
The reason for that is, as you get credits, because you're a working actor, you're going to be coming in and you're going to be removing that resume and putting on an up-to-date one. And when you use the staple leader to remove the resume, I don't want you tearing up your picture. So I want it on the resume side. That's why.
Awesome. No, that's good. I was thinking like the person who's auditioning is holding it, reading your resume more than they are.
That's also true. Yeah.
So they don't want to hurt their finger on it or something.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll say too, you should have your name on the picture as well, in case they get separated.
What do you think about putting your picture on the resume?
I think it's great. I think there's no reason not to.
I have a resume template, actually, a Google Doc that you can fill in. I should send it to you and see if you approve.
Sure, absolutely.
And all that. I don't know.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm into it. Send it.
Okay.
All right. So when you're looking for, I think at least once every 2 years, you need new headshots. To me, that is the bare minimum. I don't care if you look exactly the same as you did 5 years ago. it's not just to look current, although that's part of it, but there are two other things where, I mean, the technology in photography is changing, is getting better so rapidly that pictures look dated very quickly. So that's part of it. And the other part of it is, quite honestly, we get tired of looking at the same pictures and it becomes white noise in a way where it's like, oh yeah, there's John Doe. Like I've been looking at that picture. So I think every 2 years at a minimum, you should be getting new headshots. Now, I know what that means. I know how expensive they can be. I get it. If it's 3 years, it's not the end of the world, but it's really going to help you to continually cycle your pictures. And then how do we find out who to take our pictures? There are a lot of headshot photographers, and hey, I have a friend with a really nice camera. Get professional headshots, you guys. Come on, please. Ask your friends who are working who took their headshots. There's a good start. Start to go through, just even on like Playbill or anything, you can just gather a list of photographers that people recommend. Like, that's not that difficult. And if you can even get like 6 to 10 photographers, like a list, then you can start doing the research I'm about to talk about. And that's where you just start to investigate them. Like, first of all, do you like working with them? Call them. Talk to them, see if you see eye to eye on their style, or on just if they're good people for you to be around.
Yeah, I just think personality wise is so important when you're working with a headshot photographer, because someone who makes you feel comfortable and it brings out the best part of you is like a huge part of that, right?
Huge. Yeah. And bear in mind too that expensive doesn't mean good, and inexpensive doesn't mean bad. There is a very expensive headshot photographer here in Los Angeles that I actually don't like to send my clients to, because to me they come back very posed and very there's no spontaneity to the pictures. And to me, that's so much of how I sell an actor. I mean, everyone's different, so clearly she's getting results from some people, but just the way that I sell people, and the people that I tend to sign, for whatever reason, like her shots just don't work for them. And she's very expensive, whereas I'll send them to the guy that's like $100 a look, and we'll have better results with his work. So, just know that too, is you don't have to spend a ton. So yeah, and then with me anyway, for me, theatrical shots, I think people get a little caught up in type. Like I need a lawyer shot. You don't really like it's
Z card.
Oh yeah, like the old school Z cards. They still, I think dancers and I think print agents still do Z cards. But so yeah, don't focus on types. Focus on like characters. In other words, not how you dress, but acting. It's all in the eyes. You're acting. A headshot is another image of you acting. I have to want to see more, right? So there has to be some connection. Yeah, and then with that,
I mean, what do you want people to lead with first? Like something that just really shows their true, genuine personality, or do you think if they're going in for something that's more serious, whatever, then they have a more serious, smoky kind of thing, or what do you?
I mean, I think it's helpful to have two shots, one that is a little more upbeat than the other. It's just like it's like coming in with two contrasting songs or two contrasting monologues. Yeah. Come in with two contrasting pictures, or not come in with, but have them. Yeah, I think, if you do, if it's a more somber piece, I don't even think you necessarily need to match the tone with the tone of the photograph with the tone of the piece. And the reason I say that is because when you're handing it to them, what we're talking about is in an audition room, they've already seen you. So the very most important thing is that it looks like you.
Right.
That's the very most important thing. Beyond that, like
that headshot goes with that person. To me, that's always like, so, because they're seeing so many people.
Yeah.
Right? You want to make sure they actually they don't look at the headshot and go, wait, who is this?
And that happens a lot, actually, where, you're going through at the end of the day, you're like, I don't remember seeing this person. You'll see your notes and you're like, it just doesn't sit there for whatever reason. So yeah, so I think it should capture some of your personality, some of your,
essence.
Yeah, absolutely. because otherwise it's not going to benefit you a ton. Now, the other duty of a headshot is to get you indoors. So like when you're doing submissions, so those headshots, you're going to want like a little sort of a wider variance, a wider selection, so maybe 4 or 5 that show off different sort of aspects of your personality. But even then, they're acting pieces, not dress up pieces. And I say that with respect, but I work with a lot of commercial agents, and for them, it's very much show and tell.
Yeah.
Like they're dealing with such volume, the casting directors and the agents, and it's like, I can't intuit that this guy can play a cop, so I show you a picture of him in a cop suit. Like I get it, but theatrically, I think it's a little bit more about telling a story. So
I think the same thing for an audition too, right? Like sometimes people come into auditions in full costume, and I'm like, whoa.
Oh yeah, you can hint at it, but don't come in and yeah.
Okay, so hinting at it, like I heard you say that a headshot has its color with your face and a hint of body. What do you mean by that?
To me, that's just the crop. I think a lot of people go way too wide and we lose the face, it's actually a headshot. So,
Right.
So for me, like the crop is, generally in this area, maybe right under the armpit. Like I wouldn't go any wider than that. No, we're not doing 3/4 shots anymore. That was, 15, 20 years ago. So like, yeah. So for me, you want them to be able to focus on the face just because this is their way of remembering you, if nothing else.
Right.
But like a hint of body, so it's not just a head. Because when it gets super tight, that's creepy. We all want to pull away. But yeah.
Awesome.
There you have it.
Cool. And just like take control of your session and remember that you paid for it and you go in. Sometimes I like to think you go into it with a list of goals of what you want to get out of your headshot session too.
And that's important because some photographers will try to make it their session. And you have to remember that and I don't like to look at it as you're the one paying for it, but you're the one who needs to get something out of it. The photographer doesn't.
Right.
They're doing fine, thanks. But you need to walk away with usable headshots. So make sure that, however much communication you and your photographer have beforehand, make sure that on the day of that you don't leave until you feel like you're satisfied.
And that you go in knowing what you want. Because sometimes I think people will just go to a head, and I know I've been guilty of this before too. Like, okay, so what's the goal for today? What do you want to get out of this session? I'm like, I don't know, take pictures.
Right. Headshots.
They don't know you. Yeah. Or, yeah. Cool.
All right.
So
I think
resumes.
Resumes. I love resumes.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love resumes? Everyone else but me. So one thing on your resume, everybody, I love you guys. Watch for typos. I don't know why. I have like the eye that goes immediately to the typo on your resume, and everyone's got one. Everyone. The big one is principal versus principal. PLE versus PAL. Yeah. I see a lot of people who seem to be very principled in their resumes. They have great principles. But that's not what
I am the worst speller in the entire world, and I'm definitely going to check that template before I send it to you to make sure.
It's hard. It's hard, and especially because something like that, like spell check, isn't going to catch.
Right.
Our brain knows what it was supposed to be. So sometimes we all get it, but really try to catch them.
I'm checking it right now.
It's hard. The worst thing you can misspell is someone's name, especially if it's someone I know. Because if I see, we talked about Molly Mahoney, but that one actually is. But if we see, for whatever reason, if I see my friend's name and it's misspelled, I'm like, oh, it's sad. And I don't want to be sad. Don't make me sad. Yeah. So watch for typos. What a resume is you want to use it to tell a story to someone who doesn't know you, or what's that?
I love that when you said that, and also about like telling a story for the show that you're going into, or what type of a role you want to be casting.
Yeah, exactly. And it can change from audition to audition. You can have different resumes. So, my job as an agent is I'm telling your story to a casting director or to a producer or a director. So I'm telling them about you, but I'm telling them what I want them to know about you. Right. Once you get in a room, a casting director is telling your story. If they know you, they're telling your story to the director, to the producer, to the choreographer, whoever. But we need the resources to do that. And when we're not there, you need the resources to do that. So that's what a resume accomplishes, is I can look at it and get a sense of what you've done, where you've been, where you're going. So basically what that means is you want to just look at what story your resume is telling. And that can mean a lot of different things. And over the course of time, you'll want to sometimes you'll want to change the story. And what I mean by that is if you're a hardcore dancer who wants to start doing principals and you've got all of these like dance ensemble and dance captain and swing tracks, you're going to want to start to pick and choose, like, which ones do I want to display? Which ones don't I want to display? Do I want this one because it's at this theater or with this director or this choreographer, but not this one because, and as you start to build professional credits, you can start to get rid of some of those early, educational credits or non-professional amateur credits. Those are all great. As you start to get older and you have credits that are no longer age appropriate, you can drop those off.
Or Yahoo!
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't like to brag, you guys, because I'm not an actor. I'm not a big time actor. I never wanted to be an actor, but I was in Greece. I did it. I was in Greece, you guys. I mean, if I were building a resume right now, I probably would not continue to include that because I don't look like I could be in Greece anymore. But like, that's what we're talking about is starting to change the story with age appropriate credits you can drop off. The order of your credits. Don't feel like it has to be like strictly chronological. I think a lot of people get caught up in that. You do want your first credit to be either your biggest credit or something very recent, because a lot of times what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like, where did I see him? And I don't have my Google Docs on me. So I'll look at it, and it's got to be kind of in that first 3 credits if it's recent, or else I'm just not, I'm not going to like, oh, this 8th credit was last week. I just saw you in this thing. So start to look at that, but it doesn't have to be strict chronological order. And so, I mean, just know that you have the ability to move things around. And because what we want to ultimately look like, if you want to be a professional at the highest caliber, if you want to do Broadway, or whatever that looks like to you, national tours, be the big go-to guy in Los Angeles, whatever it is, whatever your end game is, you want to look like you're building, right? You don't want to look like you started off doing all kinds of principal roles, and then you started playing secondary characters, and then you started playing, jumping in and out of ensembles. Not that there's anything wrong with any of those.
I was gonna say, because we did say some people, their goal is to be in the ensemble.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And and so I want to be very clear that this is for people who want to be principals.
Right.
Like, you want to make sure that it looks like you're building on your resume, like your credits are getting stronger and stronger and stronger as we get up to the top, especially if you want to move to another market like New York, because if it doesn't look like you're competitive in a smaller market, even Los Angeles, which is considered by most New York theater people to be a lesser market, I don't 100% agree, but even in a situation like that, if you want to move to a bigger market, then it does need to look like you're sort of conquering the one you're in already.
Right.
So,
even with that, if you are focusing on ensemble stuff and you're like looking for a featured dancer track or something like that, you can build the same way with the level of companies that you're working with, right? So that
absolutely,
the list on the top can be a bigger company, and then have smaller, lesser known, or not as.
Absolutely. If for instance, a year and a half ago you did something at the Pasadena Playhouse, and more recently, and since then you've done 3 or 4 projects at very small theaters, you can list Pasadena first,
right?
And then you're the
and you don't have to put the date on there. I mean, people will know if they know that show at the Pasadena Playhouse.
Yeah, and exactly. You don't put the date on there, quite honestly. But yeah, so just that's what we mean by building, by it looking like you're building, and that way, even if you're not coming out and saying like, oh no, I did this thing at Pasadena last week. But psychologically, when we look at it, it looks tiered. It looks like a pyramid, and that's where we want to continue the pyramid.
I like it.
Yeah, and then I just have one more thing to say about resumes.
My favorite.
If you have a special skill on your resume, make sure it's performance level. Make sure that if you go in for that skill tomorrow, that you can do it. I see a lot of people who have like tap is my big thing. If you have tap on your resume and you go in for Book of Mormon and can't tap, like you're not telling the right story. Yeah. So, just make sure, because we may ask you to do it and it may be specific to a project. They need someone who can tap. Or they put you in the mind of like, oh, he can tap, so he can do this role. Whatever it is, like if you can't tap, it just shouldn't be on your resume. If you can't speak fluent Spanish, don't put Spanish on your resume. I mean, you can write like intermediate Spanish or something like that, but don't say fluent Spanish. You don't say Spanish speaker if you don't speak Spanish.
What do you think about funny things on your special skills?
Listen, not everyone agrees with me. I like them. I think they're fun in an audition room when like, oh, you're double jointed. Show it to me. But again,
people ask me about stupid things that I have in my special skills all the time, where it like breaks the ice and brings out your personality, and they don't ask because they seem annoyed about it. If they don't want it there, they'll just move on. But I think, I mean, I don't know, but
yeah, I like them. I've had people say that they don't, but I'm like, what's the harm?
Yeah.
What's the harm? You can't know.
Right.
You can't know what they're thinking behind the table. That's an important lesson.
Totally.
You cannot know what they're thinking behind the table.
Even if they tell you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially if they tell you exactly what they want, that's the thing you trust the least. I shouldn't say that, but it's, yeah. So just know that you can change their minds and you don't know what they want anyway. So.
And I always say the only thing that you can bring into the room that is different than anybody else that, could potentially get you a job is yourself.
Right.
So,
right.
Totally.
And that's what they're looking for.
Right. Hello. If they tell you they're looking for that, they're not lying.
Right. I have one final thing to talk about. And that's the Audition Diary.
Yay.
Spreadsheet.
Yes.
So.
And I have an Audition Diary spreadsheet template. So we'll put that in there too.
Nice. So what we're talking about with the Audition Diary is I like actually a hard copy Audition Diary. That's just me. Whatever you want to do. If you want to do a Google Doc, a spreadsheet, whatever it is, just make sure that you're doing this and do it before you leave the building where the audition is. That's very important in my opinion. And so what this is it's one sheet of paper, or it can be electronic, but if you're doing it on paper, one sheet of paper that has the name of the show you auditioned for, the role if there was. Sometimes you're not necessarily auditioning for a specific role. Who was in the room, no matter how inconsequential you think that they were, because the chances are they're paying for everything. That guy, the guy in the t-shirt.
Or you don't know if they're going home with the person who's making the decisions,
right.
And they actually have influence on it that way too.
Yeah. Like I had someone once say like, oh, the only person that was in the room was this local casting director who I'd never heard of. And I was like, oh no, that guy works at Telsey. Like that's the casting director on this project. So, you don't necessarily know, and that's fine, but write down those names. What did you wear? What did you sing? And this to me is kind of the most important thing. This is why I want you to do it before you leave the building. And that's, how did you feel? About everything, any thought that crosses your mind. If you're like, this room was too bright, it was too loud, like I felt like they were pulling back, the accompanist wasn't great, I wish that I had warmed up more, whatever it is, any feeling in your head, write it down. Because you're going to start to review these and you're going to start to see patterns, and you're going to start to think like, okay, well, when I go to Screenland, it's brighter than Madeline Clark, so I need to pull back a little bit, or whatever it is for you. Like just start to write down like every thought that you have. If the producer makes a passing remark about this isn't right, but we're doing Pippin next year, and that would, like, just write it down, because you may forget, you might not, but write it down and you won't.
Likely will forget. I mean, and I know out here it's not as much as in New York, but in New York I was going to like 3 auditions a day sometimes. Yeah. And there's just no way you can remember all of those details.
Yeah. So do it before you leave the building while it's still fresh.
Because even your opinions might change by the time you get home also, because you've had time to process it, and then you don't remember exactly how you felt about it right then.
Right. And that's why I say while it's fresh, because you'll forget and you will change your opinion. And that's okay too. You can write down the opinions after you've had some thought. I don't think they're quite as useful, but you can do it. And then, on that same sheet, I want you to write, did you get a call back? And then yes or no. And then did you book it? And if so, and this is for the professionals, as we're starting to build professional careers, how much money did you make on the job? If it's a non-union project and you made $1,000 flat, you made $1,000 flat. That's okay. But again, this is a sort of thing where we want to kind of look at it and make sure that we're building a little bit, or that we're not sliding backwards a ton anyway. So I like to write down, I like for my people to write down how much they made per project. So, and sometimes that's really cool for you, just to go back and remind yourself that you're a professional actor, because you can start to see those dollar amounts.
Totally.
So I'm big on building in like emotional incentives for yourself, emotional rewards. So, anything where I say like spend an hour a day doing this, it's because part of that reason is because you need to start thinking of yourself as a professional. And so when you're like, this is my working time, it does something to you. It makes you feel
you're building a career, not a job.
right. And a lot of time, and theater in particular, I think is hard because it does often feel like you're just going job to job, show to show, and there's no real path to it, no real sort of plot. And so that's part of being a professional, is like sort of mapping out a career. We want you to be able to actually sustain yourself doing this. That is my dream. That is Molly's dream. That is all of our dream. We want you to have sustained success.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love it. And that actually is such an awesome, there might be other things we want to talk about, but an awesome segue into the next section, which is what to do once you get the job. Was there other stuff to talk about here though? No, well, let's finish, because I think what we should do is actually end this recording and then start a new one, and then we'll make a new one. So let's wrap up. Any other thoughts about that? With the Audition Diary, I actually have a question about that, because I used to keep mine. There's that book, The Organized Actor. Do you know that book?
Yeah.
When I was in New York, I had that, and like that's one of the things that it says to do in there that I did not hear anywhere else before moving to New York, that was so huge for me. And everybody does it. Everybody's like crammed around the tables at EPA, getting all the information, because at EPAs they always have who's written a sheet out in front saying who's in the room.
Yeah.
Your accompanist, like all that stuff, writing all that stuff down. But for me, then I had a hard time going back, because I would do it in my calendar. And I would have a hard time going back if I saw somebody, be like, where did I see them before? If it wasn't a spreadsheet where I could search for their name, then I couldn't go back. I'd have to like go page by page by page by page.
Sure.
Who that person was. But
things like that, I would say do paper, because I like the tactile.
I love it. Like kinesthetically, it puts it into your brain also.
Exactly. But then put it into a spreadsheet.
Okay, cool.
We can both win.
I like it. See, we do. And I'm just so bad with paper. I lose paper.
Oh, no, I get it. I've got notebooks on notebooks, and sometimes it's just remembering where things are. But for me, the paper thing is it's very important for me for it to be tactile. And also writing on your phone in an audition room, I think, is hard.
Yeah.
So you just get in the habit of having a notepad on you and doing it on paper.
No, and I think even for memorizing things, I always tell my clients that it's to write your monologue out 3 times with a pen or whatever, because there is something scientifically about it with your body and putting it in there. So I like it. All right. Anything else you want to say about this stuff?
No, the big thing is, make sure that the reason we talk about all of these things, the headshot, the resume, the books, is because we want to make sure that you give them the materials they need to make a decision.
Right.
You may not get the job even if you're the most prepared person, but you definitely won't get the job if you're the least prepared person. So give them the materials to make their decision, and they'll make their decision, but you won't lose a job because you were not prepared. Be prepared.
Amen. Be prepared.
Nice.
I like it. All right. Okay. So we're going to get all those links from Anthony. Is he not the bomb diggity, you guys? Hello. And we'll be having a whole nother link coming up with a different video that we're going to create right now. Yahoo!
Yay.
All right. Bye. Hey guys, it's Molly. Wasn't Anthony amazing? I cannot wait for you to hear his next interview. We have so much more coming at you, so be sure to check back to thepreparedperformer.com/podcast for all of our episodes and all the goodness that's coming your way. Bye.